it is wise to not attack such a large creature.
Oh, it attacked us.
Kind of turned to look at the party. I sent something down to look for you. Did it not find you?
She shot it. This is Crichton says, pointing to the elf.
Lily's pointing at the elf, too.
I am innocent. With my day, I don't know what anything can be.
See,
Meanwhile,
here's the thing, Mr. Violin Player. She gets mad at me all the time for rushing in and smacking things without knowing what they are ahead of time. But for some reason, when she does it, everything's perfectly fine and normal. So she magic missiled it.
Just gotta bap her on the head, then go over here and start calling the cat over.
You notice that the staircase up is actually already open. And as to that whole explanation, he'll speak up again. Did you at least bring it with you? And Azul nods and comes over and hands it to him. And she steps back from him and she just looks up at him, curious for a moment.
Can we pay you for it? I'm sorry for the hastiness of my friend.
And he'll just stay silent for a little while in thought after he takes it back. And the cleric she'll introduce herself as being named Hope, which I'm sure you can all see if I've set this up right. Mm-hmm. And she'll just say, let's, if I've had it set up right, because I haven't used her in months, let's just head upstairs and we'll figure out, understand exactly what happened down there, and we'll be able to talk to the monks and everything else, let them know everything is fine.
Did they eat my cat?
All right, so I'm going to move you all to the upper area now.
Okay.
All right.
Help, he's touching me.
And these two will follow.
Did they say they had another person upstairs?
Yes, they did.
Yep.
And as you come up the stairs and you just walk up the stairs, you'll see that this room, I can now turn off dynamic lighting because you're upstairs. Or turn on global illumination, I mean, because you're upstairs. And once you get up to the top of the stairs, you'll discover that, yes, the rug, little secret passageway going down has been shifted out. You're able to come up to the top, and you'll discover that essentially the three leading monks of the area, Randall, Kelith, and Oth, are all standing up there. They're kind of discussing things, and they're not really using hushed tones. They're just kind of discussing things, thinking of what they do now.
Lily's going to step forward and say, we found a few people down there. Where would be a good place to put the deceased?
And they'll look across each other for a moment, and they'll just think on things. Let's set them out in the garden for now.
Lily's going to go out to the garden and deposit a couple of bodies from the bag of holding.
Okay. Yep. And Oth will go out there to take a look at them, to look them over, and he'll identify Sephiroth rather easily, and he'll just kind of shake his head, and he's got an angry expression to him, but other than that, there's not much you can pick up on him. And then he'll go over to examine the elderly man you've brought up for a second, as he seems far more interested in that man.
Do you know who the older one is?
He'll pause for a second. No, not quite sure, but there were no pictures of him, but this could have been the old head monk back before the monastery was destroyed the first time.
He's been alive for quite some time, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Well, monks,
Hey, old body.
when you've reached the proper level of enlightenment, age doesn't have quite the same effect on you.
How long has it been since that monastery has been open? Well, before
the monastery was destroyed probably 20 years ago.
Oh, only 20 years. Okay. I was expecting like 200 years. I was like,
Yeah, no, it's relatively recently, and like the remaking the monastery has only taken place in like the last 2 years.
Lily's going to return to the group.
And the group at this point is still just discussing more things. Azul and Cassidy are explaining what they encountered down there. They'll going further down. They've encountered marrow creatures. They'll explain the sunken ship. like Randall will say he doesn't really know anything about that, like a ship that's gone missing recently. Explains the dragon turtle, and then they'll explain the Yuan-Ti in the various encounters there. Finishing off with Zephyrus, and you kind of start wondering exactly what the purpose of all this is, until Cassie mentions offhand the remark of that particular room where the abomination was, and it kind of both Keleth and Randall will stop and just start to think for a moment. That room, I think I've read about that room. That is supposed to be a rather, I don't want to say holy room, but a powerful room. I think it was originally used, if I recall my readings, as a way to train the monks. Steals their eyesight for a while, and then they would get better at using their other senses. I don't recall what the original purpose. I don't think it was written down what the original purpose was supposed to be.
I think you may want to invest in some wallpaper.
I think that was... If they used it for training at one point, it purposes suit just fine. It's just a matter of I wouldn't be putting people down there at this time anymore.
Yes, we'll probably look into a way to seal off the way down there at some point, just to make sure that nothing sneaks in unaware.
There was a dragon turtle in there. If it got in, if it went out, it's possible there's an underwater passage.
Yeah,
Feel free to also roll perceptions this entire time.
that doesn't make much sense to me, because aren't we, like, near the mountains and not near the water?
That doesn't mean there's not an underground water passage that goes all the way out to the ocean.
And Calth will speak up at this point as well. There is supposed to be a very vast underwater lake in this region. It's possible that it dragged it all the way through there. And who knows what happens the further down you go.
I'm like lost on my...
I hear colors.
You taste purple.
Wow, what is with that roll? Oh, mine was no better. I rolled 4s.
At some point, as this is going on, Creighton will glance over and he'll notice that the tall robed figure has been watching Azul from behind for probably the entire time now.
It is a nice view.
It is a nice view, yes. It is a very nice view. At some point, though, he does stand up forward and he moves closer towards her, extending a hand towards her back.
Anyone else notice besides Silas?
No.
Great.
Do you saw those rolls?
Silas is literally going to tilt his head over. It's like, do you two need some privacy?
He'll stop for a second, and then he'll just speak up again. No, she died improperly. And just kind of poke the back of Zul's spine, and Zul just kind of goes completely rigid for a moment, and just kind of stumbles forward. Yes. Body died improperly. It's not responding right.
Well, we
Died
prefer if
improperly?
if she doesn't
brought
die
back
properly
improperly.
this time, so Lily's got her hand on the hilt of her sword.
How do you die improperly? Was she brought back improperly, perhaps?
I do not know how you die improperly. There are surely countless ways. Though to be brought back improperly, that is also a possibility, and I can think of one particular way that he may have given her. And Azul at this point has turned around and she is just staring at him. And you can just see it. Like, her gaze is kind of boring into his, his face is mostly black because it's hidden in shadows aside from his eyes. And she'll just kind of stop for a second and she'll ask him, can you remove your helmet? Or hood. Let's go with hood. And he, after a moment, does, I can't think of the word, agree, and he'll kind of just pull his hood back. And you can see at this point, his head is completely mechanical. There's like a small little design, more or less, where the mouth would be, the eyes glowing, etc., and the rest. And as he lifts up his hand again, you can see that his arm as well is completely mechanical.
Robot?
Would Lily have ever seen one of these in Haven?
Lily would have never seen something like this in Haven. The closest thing she would have seen is if she were to wander up to the Mages Towers at some point. She may have seen them messing around with particular golems, but even like pictures she might have seen of designs for an iron golem. They don't look anything like he does.
Would I have heard rumors?
Roll history checks. Yeah, roll history checks if you want to see if you can figure much anything out about this particular what he
Well,
is.
if I heard any rumors,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, so I'm not rolling one.
Yeah.
Nope.
22.
All right, so Lily and Creighton, you actually may have heard a few rumors. Particular rumors are you've heard talks, faintly like in bars or what have you in the taverns, of strange groups of constructs which seem to be masquerading as adventurers. And there's not really much more about that.
So,
In Azul's eyes, you can see pretty much immediate recognition.
You know what these things are, don't you, Azul?
Fulg. She kind of struggles for a way to explain properly, and then the construct will speak up. We are a glorious mistake.
Sounds like
And
me.
it,
Sentient
technically-
machine.
well, technically, most species on this world are a glorious mistake in a weird way.
that would be correct. Though, it is difficult to explain. And he'll kind of sit down at some point. He gave you that ring, did he not? And Azul just kind of nods at this point. And he'll continue. That's what I thought. The ring, it brings you back, but not as you were. And he'll kind of look over to the monks at this point, who are just kind of looking a little confused. She has lost ability to use ki as she is trained, correct? That would make sense. This is not the same body she knew once, and trying to use ki in the same way does not work, as I understand. It is different for all.
Well, there's not much you can do about that, Ben. Unfortunately.
But perhaps I could do a favor to repay him.
Yes, perhaps. Give me one moment.
You
in
keep
Azul-
saying him. I
In
know who you're
Unad.
talking about, but why do you know him?
He is the one who created us.
Well, of course, that makes sense.
And Azul will kind of nod, and she'll try to explain a little bit. He made the Fulg some point after he found me, and he doesn't understand how he even made them or how they are to be. I know he's tried to recreate it a few times, but nothing's ever worked. What's your name? And the Fulg will introduce himself properly. I am Cupram.
Does this guy ever make anything that he intends to make, or does he just kind of have, quote, glorious mistakes?
He makes a lot of mistakes, and they seem to come out way better than he anticipates. You know this. You know this.
You
We've
can
seen
kind
what
of
he
hear
does.
like a little rattling laughter coming from Cupram. That would mostly be correct, though while his mistakes are great, the things he intends to make are often even better. He just happens to be very good at working at things as
I'll
they
be right
fall
back.
apart
I
around
need
him.
to go take care of something.
Yep. What was Lana saying?
Most experimentation often just results in mistakes anyway.
Yes. And the two of them, the two monks there, will kind of look back and forth. Well, if that's the case, then that would make sense. Everything he said sounds correct. Each person uses their keys separately. If it's a whole new body that doesn't work the same way, then we would basically have to train you from scratch in order to use your key once more.
But she's not. She was able to use it with that device. Is it just a lost cause?
I can't say for sure. She could always relearn, though using her own key would require to be completely retaught. She would have to break all the habits she has and learn new. That device, it's the amulet you're mentioning. The only reason that works is I feel because she draws just wild ki. It doesn't need to be linked particularly to her body or how her body responds. It just bends and willingly works with how she requires.
But relearning everything you've learned, that's hard. That's worse than learning it the first time.
And Azul is kind of looking a little down at this point, and Cuprum will speak up again. It would be bad, though she does have other talents, as I recall. Though it has been a while since I've even seen this one around him. Do you still remember how to play? And Azul kind of tilts her head for a second, but she'll nod slowly. Yes, a little bit. I could accompany you for a while and teach you better arts to use that ability. You did have some skill as a bard, even if you did not exercise it, as I recall.
Silver, can I quickly pause for a second? Because you sound just like Shatner at the moment. I'm sorry, it's the pauses.
We should probably head on out soon. Maybe we should put on red shirts.
I'm not putting on a red shirt.
Lily can put on a red shirt.
Lily's wearing a red shirt.
She is wearing a red shirt.
Uh,
It wasn't red. It wasn't a red originally when she originally went out.
and this is going on. You like Hope has been watching rather intently this entire while, and she'll kind of look back and forth, and
What's a Shatner?
she'll look up to Cuprum. You intend to leave us for a while, then? And she'll kind of look back between everyone again. If you really want to, I can see that this is important to you. If she accepts, I don't think there'd be any issues. Me and Carrie could always get back to Crossroads ourselves and come back with more help.
Oh yes, your other companion.
Yeah, could we see her? Him?
Yeah, sure. She's currently guarding the monks in the bedroom to make sure nothing were to happen to them.
Okay.
They're all still resting up right now.
And well, excuse my caution, Cuprum. We just met. I know you and Azul might have a history, but we should have some reason to trust you other than just your word.
You gave a sword to a guy who asked for a sword. I think
You
think you're
fought
pretty easy.
alongside us.
That is a fair assessment. What would you want me to do?
Show us what you can do. Show us your magic.
And he'll kind of nod for a second and explain, it would be best if we were outside for this. I could show you easiest then.
Fine. And if you need a target, I'm happy to oblige.
All right.
Well, not for Lana. She did wreck his hummingbird.
Do not worry about the hummingbird. I can always make another one. All right. I'm just gonna say that he's gonna lead you out through the garden and go outside that way. And as he leads you outside, he pulls out the violin again. And now that you're closer, you can see the violin. The the violin itself seems to be pretty standard. It's just like a wooden violin, like pretty well crafted, admittedly. The more interesting part though is the bow he uses, which as he strings across the strings, it just kind of like he's not playing currently, but the bow itself looks like it was supposed to be something more, a large rod. It's mostly metal. There's a few like lines and inscriptions on it. Nothing that can be read properly because I don't think anyone in the party reads spoilers. Primordial.
Cough, cough.
Well, besides you, but
No,
are you going...
that's actually my.
Yeah,
that's
no,
actually...
I absolutely I know that you can because it's part of the Stormsork. Are you going outside with them?
Yeah.
All right, so you'll be able to kind of read the inscription a little as it goes by. It's like it's a small inscription. You're a little distance away, so you're only able to get brief glimpses at it. And it seems to be something recall like an inscription describing "Call the Lightning." And as he steps outside, he kind of brings up the violin and starts playing. And the tune he's playing, it's the tune itself is a little bit more somber, but you can kind of feel like a determination drive, keep going, like almost as though it's a bit of bardic inspiration as he's playing. And he'll kind of stop for a second. And he'll lift the bow up for a moment, and in the skies above you, you notice that there's a crack of thunder, and just a thunderstorm seems to immediately gather in the area above them. And he'll lower it back down, keep playing for a little bit, and after a few more seconds of playing, he points out towards a rock formation a little distance away, lightning strike. He points at another formation, probably 50 feet in another direction, another lightning strike. And he just keeps going back to playing.
Quite a talented one.
That sounds similar to a talent a friend of ours had.
Yes, this was something he made, a gift.
Oh, no.
You know, kind of like...
Not him. A cleric.
Oh?
A Tempest cleric. She used to do something like this.
Ah, yes. That would make sense.
So, you play music and magic shoots from your fingertips? Anything else?
Oh. I am able to help aid wounds and such, though I would not intend to be with you for long. I would just like to teach her ways, a little crash course, I believe the term is.
Well, you obviously had chance during this demonstration to hit all of us, and you did not take that opportunity, so welcome aboard.
You are rather trusting.
I have a very large
Tell
sword.
us about it.
Yes, but that very large sword attracts lightning.
I like you.
One thing I'm going to say this because Lily would be able to pick up on it with her time spent blacksmithing. The first thing of note is that looking at his, like, you can see more of his face right now, you can see on his face and arms that, well, most of his body is like probably your generic metal, like probably more iron. You see that there's a lot of copper in his body as well. And Lily, roll an intelligence check on this. It's just kind of for fluff, but I'm curious.
History?
Yeah,
Intelligence.
yeah, I'm actually curious. Is his face humanoid looking, or
His face, if you can scroll into the token,
Oh,
that is
so-
more or less what his face looks like.
let's have a look. Oh,
Alright, I'm back.
ooh,
Yeah. So
I
Lily won't. Yeah, Lily. It was actually very hard to find a good picture for.
that's a good
Lily
picture. Though.
won't actually pick up on this, but I'm gonna let the party know anyway because it's amusing. Cuprum is what copper is on the periodic table. That's
It's cuprum.
cuprum. Yep,
Yeah.
cuprum. Yeah. So Lily wasn't apparently smart enough to pick up on that, but that wasn't exactly something that you need to know if you're working with copper.
Okay.
She knows what copper is, anyways.
Yeah,
but,
she knows what copper is. She knows like what temperature it melts,
But she
how to
doesn't
mold it into
remember
various
copper.
things. That's like a little bit of trivia that she may not have known.
Yeah.
And after this, it kind of lead you back in. After, like, at some point while this is going on, Hope had walked off, and she had returned a moment later with the third member of the group, Carrie.
Well, she looks absolutely boring.
I know, right? And she She seems to be a rather happy-looking person, very helpful as she comes in, and she just kind of introduces herself a little with a bow, and she looks at the party and just says, "Ah, you're all okay then? You went down there? You helped all these people. That's so great."
Yup.
I remember Jeeves playing her exactly like this.
I don't remember how Jeeves played her, though. That's the silly thing.
An airhead.
No,
yeah.
he kind of did that kind of.
The super nice super airhead kind of.
Yeah, all I remember is you said super nice, so that's what I'm
Yeah.
going with.
Well, about most importance, where's my cat?
Randall will kind of point out to the cat that is still kind of rubbing up against his leg, and has been this entire time.
Good. It's been annoying you, just as it was trained to. And I'll take my cat back.
You're lucky
this is
he
why I
doesn't know
prefer
magic
dogs.
missile. Lily's just going to quickly explain to Carrie the more interesting bits of what they found down there, and introduce herself as just Lily, no other stuff.
And
That's
she'll
a
kind of
first.
like nod and nod. Oh, that's a lot of things down there. Did anything happen while you're up here? I heard the thunder strikes outside. And she'll look over at Cuprum questioningly. Just kind of shrug. They wanted a demonstration. I will be accompanying them for a while to repay an old favor.
It's rare to find someone with such a good grasp on elemental magic like him.
He only knows lightning, and only because of that
Excuse me?
lightning rod he carries.
Excuse me? Somebody who has a good grasp on elemental magic? Come here. I need to give you a demonstration.
It's rare.
It's not that rare, and I know how to use a lot of elemental and
Am I the
storm
only
magics.
person who doesn't know how to use magic? Come on, guys.
Yes.
I don't think.
There's a resounding yes from everyone who's not a monk.
And Silas.
Yeah.
And from nothing from Silas.
Oh, fine then. I was trying to pay a compliment. Whatever.
Yeah.
I appreciate you trying to compliment him, but Cuprum just seems to.
It's
he's not
sucking up.
mellow. Is that right, Cuprum? And he just kind of nods.
Hmm.
And at this point, Randall kind of just shakes his head. Well, this has been a wondrous reunion here. Are you going to be sticking around for much longer then? It's a shame we couldn't help your friend.
We have to get to Runeheim.
Yes, that would probably be a good place to head next.
Indeed.
Before you go, though, I think we don't have much that we can offer here, needing much of the money for resupply and everything else, but I can offer at least 1,000 gold pieces for the aid you've given. Paltry sum that it is.
Lily will say, we've found plenty of gold in our travels. You probably need it more than we do.
Perhaps some wine. And
That
payment.
would be a good idea.
That's perfectly. That'll be fine then. Thank you for your generosity. We'll make sure that you have a good wine to take with you in that strange contraption you brought here.
How is that, by the way?
It's still hidden where you left it.
All
I know you looked at it a little while, but didn't do anything to it. And he's pointing at Cuprum.
Yeah, he probably has some idea of what it is.
And Cuprum just nods.
In that case, I guess it's time to get ready to move.
As
Yeah,
as we go
it's
by,
probably around noonish, so you probably have plenty of time to still leave or to travel today.
Lily's gonna ask. She knows what Hope does. She knows what Cuprum does. She's gonna ask what Carrie does.
And Carrie, well, it's difficult to explain. You see, I'm what they would call a fury. It's the storm kind of just answers me and beckons within me. And she'll kind of look a little embarrassed at this. I sometimes lose myself in its anger when there are people attacking.
She's gonna look over at Falan and Alon. Wouldn't we see something like that?
Kind of?
Yes, we have, and we're going to just ignore and continue on.
And you kind of look over. JBRam is kind of doing a very subtle little motion, as though he's like wants to speak about something about that later on.
All right, let's get our booty and head on out. This is nice to meet you, Carrie person. Let's head on out.
And you all gather up. I suppose if you like, Azul will go over, like see the monks ourselves to make sure they see they're all doing good. Cassidy will walk over to what was the brewery, gather off in the process, and she'll kind of walk out towards the main gate at some point with a huge keg on her back, and then a few smaller bottles in hand.
I'm happy.
The rest of you at this point have brought out the apparatus. You've kind of loaded it up. Most of you gotten in. JBRam kind of just climbs in as well as Cassie's unloading everything inside, ready to head out.
Alrighty.
Alright. Here's what we need to do. To simplify the trip, half of us stay awake during the day, those of us about dark vision especially, and those with dark vision and outside of one of us handle the night shift, and we can travel 24/7.
JBRam will speak up at this point. If you are willing to allow me, I could pilot when everyone else rests. I do not need to sleep. Exactly.
So what do you need instead?